ليلك وجنة بالتجاف الليل تسريب
واسأل عنا له المنة قل علامات انت تدريبه مدعيكم غايب عنا والحكم ميوز.
In this week of your local Jumu'ah, we visited London Islamic Cultural Society and Mosque with Sheikh Ajmal Masroor. The mosque has served the community for over 34 years and has moved to a new building which has been purpose-built.
This mosque was formed in 1983 at our brother Ali home, who is our current president in Willoughby Road. From there, we found it wasn't suitable. We moved to accommodation in Parkview Road, that's in Tottenham. Our community grew bigger, so that place was not suitable for us. So we looked for a suitable place, and then we found this current premises where we are now. It was a synagogue at the time. We bought the place, and from there on, we transformed it to what it is today.
We've been established over 35 years ago, and we do provide various service, education for the children, madrasa. Also, we do marriages here, and we help the community mainly at large.
Members lent money to the mosque to build this mosque. It's interest-free money, which was repaid to them in various stages. At this current stage, we still owe money on this mosque, but it's not interest money. It's money lent to us by the community who helped to build this mosque here.
At this moment, that we're financially, we are struggling. And we need to raise at least about 140,000 to pay off some interest-free loans.
The services provided by this mosque, in addition to the daily prayers, is Islamic marriages, madrasa for the children, that's school, a visiting of the sick, and funeral prayers and advice to the community. In addition to school visits, all the schools in the local community bring their children here for visits. So we form a very useful services to the community and all welcome. In addition to that, we have a hall upstairs where it's used by the community for marriages, services, and other religious functions.
The services is fantastic here because you got people, the committee here, the worshippers, they approach the imams and the trustees for an everyday sort of going problem. So we're always available to answer the question. The community is everybody here. As you know, we got Pakistani, Bangladeshi, Middle East person, Somalian. So we don't categorize one group. Everybody here is the mosque is here to serve. I would say the community here, they are marvelous. The worshippers that come to this mosque, they've been very generous. And they are the only people that have been given money to this mosque, week in and week out.
We took a tour of the centre to discover the history and type of services that the mosque provides to the community.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the London Islamic Cultural Society. Please join me as we take a tour of our mosque. We start with our shop. This is the mosque shop where we sell books, scarves, all kinds of things that the community need. A lot of our books will tell you about the history of our religion, and all the proceeds from this shop goes to our masjid. So whatever we sell, we put it back into our masjid to be able to help with the debt we owe on our masjid. This is the entrance for the main entrance in Whiteman Road, and where the sisters predominantly come in on Jumu'ah Day. Let me show you the board, a history board of our organisation, beginning with Mr. Ali, who is the president of this mosque. He's the person who had the vision of establishing a centre like this. And as I said earlier, the sole purpose for this was about the children and the women, because there was such a need for it in our community. The board here shows various pictures in our history, including our work with the interfaith groups, the police, domestic violence, and Remembrance Day events that we take part in. Our community is very, very, very much engaged in making our community safer and really, really good for our people in the community. We also took part in the Model Mosque a few years ago, and we came in the semi-finals, which was a boost for our mosque because it was probably the only one that had a woman representing them in that particular show. This board also shows the total engagement of the London Islamic Cultural Society from an early time in 1987 to now, where we've actually built this amazing building here that comprises of mosque areas, banqueting hall and children's facilities on the second floor. But this is the President Brother Ali's office, and I think you will see some of the history connected to this mosque and some of the awards that shows clearly the commitment from Brother Ali into a wider community, which I think is really essential. There's an award from Boris Johnson, the Mayor of London. This picture here will show you the progress of this organisation. That's what we had. Then we bought the land, and then we built this. And all of this from the people who use this masjid and our friends. This is our sisters section, where we carry out our prayers, but it's more than just a prayer hall, it's also a meeting place for a lot of our sisters who perhaps are suffering as a result of domestic violence or issues with children, but it brings all the sisters together. I think that we're really fortunate to have such an allocated space for our sisters to be able to use and to be able to get together and to be a part of a wider community. You will see here that many items in this masjid have been donated by people who wanted to build this masjid. The janamaz has been donated by individuals. The chandelier has been donated. Every single item was itemized, costed, and families made a donation. We're not an organisation that's been sponsored or provided funds by a government or any other big businesses. Every single thing you see in this masjid is as a result of the dedication of the users, the people who are using it and have done since we formed in 1983. This is our library. We have various books that we use for dawah purposes, for non-Muslims wanting to know more about the religion. And there are also some books from different faiths as well too, because we really do believe that by looking at what the other religions say, my father was always one for stipulating this, if you understand the other religions, you will understand your religion much better. And here on this table we have a Holy Quran in Braille for anyone who is blind. This was gifted to the mosque. And we're hoping that one day that somebody will actually use this and be able to tell us exactly what it says, who is actually a blind person and can use it. There are other books that we actually have on show as well too. So when the children come from schools and they're touring the masjid, they can see what sort of historical things were discovered as a result of the Islamic faith. And so this particular one is an atlas of creation. We feel that these books are all learning tools for our young ones in the community, and that's not necessarily Muslims. The second floor of this new building are 4 classrooms, designed especially for the use by children, or if we're training for any seminars. This particular room here, we actually tiled it for the purpose of perhaps opening it to the local community of non-Muslims who may want to have MPs, surgeries, or any kind of advice here. So we wanted to be inclusive of our area and our local community, not just something for the Muslims. The other classrooms along the corridor here are all very similar, but they're of different sizes. And these are where the children come to for the madrasa classes. Or from time to time, we've had programs such as safeguarding for adults as well here. Each of these classrooms has been donated by an individual for their family or on behalf of their family. This was painted by a young sister whose family came to this masjid, and she did it as one of her A-level art classes, and then after that presented it to this masjid. So it does sit here as a very, very good example of this masjid and the dedication of some of the younger people who are here with us.
In the khutbah, Sheikh Ajmal Masroor discussed the recent hijab controversy that has been facing Muslim women and how we can educate society about the esteemed honor of women in Islam.
Brothers and sisters, the reason why I have chosen this particular verse and this topic today, I am calling it honoring man and woman. It's because of the constant focus on the way men and women behave towards one another, especially now. I don't know whether you've been following the recent development where Ofsted, it's in charge, has written and stated that Ofsted now will be asking young girls with hijab as to why they're wearing hijab, so that they can establish if the girls have been forced to wearing hijab or if there is any extremist links with these girls and their homes and their families and their parents. My brothers and sisters, that is very alarming. It is very alarming indeed. Ofsted's responsibility is to make sure that the school is delivering well. Our education system is functioning well. Our school is teaching the curriculum as stated by our government legislators. It is following a philosophy that we agree to. Ofsted has no right to tell you and I, our girls and our boys, what to wear and what not to wear. Just like Ofsted will not be asking a Sikh boy or a Sikh girl if they are wearing a uniform of their religious choice. They will not be asking Jewish boys or Jewish girls if they were wearing a choice of their own uniform, a religious one. Why is it that Ofsted is going to ask a question to our girls? No matter how young or old they are, Ofsted has no right to ask such a question. Ofsted is stepping over its mark, and in doing so, it is creating a culture of us and them. It is creating within our girls loss of faith and self-esteem. It's saying to our little girls that you don't belong here unless you dress up in a particular way. Girls are already suffering disproportionately from issues to do with bulimia, anorexia and body image, bombarded by the media every day. To tell our girls what to wear and what not to wear isn't the business of Ofsted. It is the business of parents. We as parents have every right to teach our children what to wear. They emulate us. They mimic us. It is very sad and ironic that girls who mimic their parents wearing miniskirt, it's okay. Girls who mimic their parents wearing makeup, it's okay if Ofsted is not complaining about that. But Ofsted is very quick in complaining about Muslim girls wearing hijab if that's what they wish. I agree that Allah says in the Quran, the order for hijab, modesty, applies to girls when they reach the age of puberty, of course. But to apply such a rule, you need to train yourself slowly but surely. Just like we're told to teach our children how to pray from the age of 7. Just like some of our children, if they're able to join in part of the day or most of the day or whole of the day in fasting in the month of Ramadan, we don't impose it on them. They just choose. That's what they like doing because they're following their parents. In fact, we would like our children to do that because this is what teaches them moral and spiritual life as a combined way of life. So I would like to put into context why in Islam man and woman have the same honor in the eyes of Allah, how Allah has outlined the honor of man and woman in an amazing manner in one verse. In one verse, He describes all the good nature of man and woman. If they do this, they'll be forgiven in the hereafter and they'll be successful on this earth. He says it towards the end, أَعَدَّ اللَّهُ لَهُمْ مَغْفِرَةً وَأَجْرًا عَظِيمًا. For them, man or woman, Allah has prepared for them forgiveness of their sins and a mighty reward for the following categories of man and woman. And why does Allah go out of His way in reminding us it is man and woman who are both and equally responsible for becoming believers, becoming devout, becoming true, becoming patient, becoming humble, becoming generous, becoming one of those who are self-denying, those who are mindful of their chastity, and those who are always remembering Allah. My brothers and sisters, it is important not just for today, it is important for every day for you to know that Allah Azza wa Jal, the most kind, the most merciful, has prepared honor for man and woman equally. If somebody takes it away, then they're the ones who are in the wrong, and Allah Azza wa Jal and His words are never wrong. I want to put to you the context of the Quranic paradigm. Allah says, يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. O mankind, O humanity, be conscious of your Lord who has created you out of a single living entity, and out of it He has created its mate, and out of the two He has spread on this earth multitude of man and woman. Remain conscious of Allah, in whose name you demand your mutual rights and the ties of kinship. Verily Allah is ever watchful over you. Brothers and sisters, the context is very important. Our origin is from a single person, Adam alayhi salatu salam. And Allah keeps on reminding you and I, man and woman both come from Adam. Nobody comes from anybody else. The root and the origin of humanity began with the same pair, Adam and Hawa. Allah has fashioned you and I. He is the creator, the fashioner, the designer. For man and woman, He did not just design men and forgot about the woman. No, He did not just design woman and forgot about the man. He did them too. He designed them all. He designed us all in the best of creation. And the purpose of creating us in the opposite and diverse way, in the opposite gender, man and woman, and in the diversity that we see, even in this room. Look at the person next to you. Definitely they look different to you. They have different color than you are. They have a different language, maybe a culture, maybe a different lifestyle, a completely different background. And yet you're together because you believe in Allah. And Allah is saying all humanity come from the same root and they are diverse. There is a reason for the opposite and diverse creation. And the purpose Allah Azza wa Jal describes in the Quran beautifully. He says, so that you get to know one another. So that you get to know one another, you form relationship, you form kinship, you form friendship, and you strengthen human race on this earth. Remember, my brothers and sisters, Allah is watching us all the time. But Allah says, verily, for all men and women who have surrendered themselves unto Allah, all men and women who are believers, truly devout man and woman, for all men and women who are true to their words, all men and women who are patient in adversity, all men and women who humble themselves, man and woman who give in charity, man and woman who are self-denying, man and woman who are mindful of their chastity, man and woman who are remembering Allah unceasingly. For all of them, Allah has prepared forgiveness of their sins and mighty reward. May we ask ourselves that we will rise to the challenge and treat one another with honor and respect. And we ask Allah to strengthen us so that we can respect each other with honor, dignity, and respect as we deserve. Wa akhir da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.
After the khutbah, we caught up with the Sheikh and asked him why he chose the topic. We also interviewed some local worshippers and asked them to share some of their reflections of the khutbah.
Since 2001, 2002, I'm coming to almost every time. All the, not only Jumu'ah, the Taraweeh as well, and time to time for other things as well. All kind of, I work, volunteer work here. And also, very soon I'm going to be touched the yoga class here. I'm the one of the yoga teacher as well.
I started coming here approximately 10 years ago. At the time, it was very run down. There's water leaking. Place to do wudu wasn't very good. And to be honest, it was very unhygienic as well.
This masjid, alhamdulillah, has been going on for a very long time. I remember when I came here in the 80s when I was a young man. It was just a small community center. Now, in 2017, it's not a small community center, it's a massive mosque, mashallah. It's been because of the local community's hard work. One of the most unique things about this mosque is it's very diverse, it's very inclusive, and it's been run by a lady, mashallah, which is an amazing thing. You don't see this every day in many of our mosques in this country. And the other thing about this mosque is you love the architecture inside. It's very homely. It makes you feel as though you are having the transformative elevation while you're praying. I enjoy when I come here and enjoy the community very well.
The speech is interesting in the sense, sometimes you go to a mosque and they're very boring and it's almost a read article, whereas today the speaker was very lively, very animated, and you could feel his passion coming through. So, although the subject matter aside,
I've chosen the topic of our khutbah today primarily because of the topic itself that is dominating our national news. It's about ladies, it's about young girls being told that they'll be interviewed, they'll be questioned if they're wearing hijab, as well as some of the ways we are seeing women being dishonored in our society. So I thought what would be most important is to talk about women and how to honor women in our everyday context.
If every mosque, in every khutbah, we do listen this sort of topic, then our girls going to become more confident to wear the hijab. Sometimes children don't like to wear hijab. They say, oh, people are just nagging us. They just say, oh, girl, go hijab on the head.
When young girls are being asked about their scarf and their choices, we need to give those girls also a choice if that's what they want to do. It's about choice ultimately, and that choice must be based on honor and respect of women.
So that's how it is. It's like a community. It's not only community, it's like a touching. When you're going to mosque, it's your own community, your own Islam, where Allah can call us to go. If we go, you can feel free, you can talk.
I believe all mosques across the country should follow a model like this. Inclusive, culturally diverse, led by brothers and sisters on the committee equally, and most importantly, open to our boys and our girls to come and learn, to have fun and worship Allah.
خط بكتابك بترحيبه لو سرابك ليلك وجنه
بالدجا في الليل تسريبه
يا الطارش
يا المعنى
خط بكتابك بترحيبه لو سرابك ليلك وجنه بالدجا في